Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Backstage Bikini podcast with your host, Grace and Jade. And for today's episode, we have online coach, head of the Bikini Coach, Char Ellis. She's also an IFBB pro, fresh out of prep. If you've been keeping up to date with her journey, you'll know everything she's achieved in her first pro season. So, Charlotte, thanks. Char or Charlotte? Do you prefer being called Char?
Char, yeah, I like
Char.
Char.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Either is fine.
How are you keeping? How are you feeling?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm very well. Thank you. I was just saying thank you so much for you guys asking me on. Yeah, I've listened to the podcast before, and one thing I wanted to say was that I always think you guys ask like really good questions to the people that you have on. Like it's not just like boring, like same, like same, like like background stories and stuff. So yeah, I like the podcast. So yeah,
Thank
I'm excited.
you. You.
That's quite cool that you listen as well, Char. I didn't know that. So that's quite
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
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 Well, in terms of like, I know we covered background briefly, but I was just saying just before we came on, that I literally followed, like, you're one of the first people I followed in sort of integrating myself into bodybuilding anyway. So let's talk about how you actually got into bodybuilding. Where did it come from? Was it something that
Yeah.
you found or?
Yeah, so I I was always kind of when I was younger, I was into sports like athletics, and I was kind of competitive with that side of things. Like I did compete like for like kind of my area in like running and things like that. And just always sporty when I was a kid. And then I kind of like dropped out of that just as I kind of got older and got into work and things. But I always just kind of maintained like a relatively, like I was never really overweight or anything like that. I just kind of was like quote unquote normal in terms of how
Yeah.
I looked. But I kind of got to the point where I was a bit like, oh, I don't really like how I'm looking. Like it wasn't a case of like not like out of shape or anything, but I just was like, I feel like my body could look better. So I did a way back when I did a Joe Wicks thing when he was
Wow.
like not even like blown up like famous. It was like maybe like he did have like a fair amount of followers, but it wasn't like anything like what it is these days. And it was called like it was like 90-day challenge or something, and it was like yeah, anyway, that's how I got into weight
Got
training
cracked.
because part of the thing was weight training, and I'd never
Right.
really done that before. I'd just been like yeah, cardio in the gym kind of thing, and obviously like athletics, like sports. So I'd never like actually really done any weights. So that's how I got into weights. And obviously I completed this 90-day a stone or something. It was actually like for my mum. My mum got me married, and I was like adamant that I was going to wear a size 10 dress. Um, so I was like, that puts into perspective, like I was never really out of shape or anything, like, but I was like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely like, I need to wear this size 10. I'm not buying it as well. No.
Refuse.
Yeah, anyway, that's how I got into like weight training. And then I was training out of the gym that I worked in a hotel. My background of work before I got into coaching was I was a massage therapist. So I then kind of worked in a hotel, and we got gym membership for free, and it was like what hotel gyms are like when you
Leisure
think of that
centre
now as
gyms.
somebody who trains, you're like red flag, but that's what I like started training in.
Yeah.
And I kind of outgrew it basically. So I went to my friend had been to this other gym in Ashford, and it was what was formerly LRF, but it's now
Mm.
Muscle Hut. And I was like, oh, this is cool, like massive step up from like this few dumbbells that I had and like a really basic like gym environment. And that going there just kind of jumped me into like what bodybuilding was like.
Yeah.
And obviously not everybody who trains there is competing or whatever, but there's a lot of competitors there
Mhm.
and just a lot of serious trainers. So
Mm.
I that kind of like picked things up in terms of like what I was doing. Like I wasn't doing anything like correctly, really. I suppose I was training a lot. I was
Mm.
still like going out, like partying, enjoying myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, being social and stuff. And then I just was like, I got back from a holiday that I'd been on with some friends to Ibiza, and I just dieted down for it like myself. And I was like pretty happy with how I looked. Like I was like, oh, I actually got like a little bit of muscle here. So I was then like,
We're doing something productive here.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is actually going okay. So I guess it looks all right here. And a few people had said to me like, oh, like you should, like sometimes you get people saying like, you should compete. Blah, blah, blah. And I
Mm.
was a bit like, oh, okay, like maybe. But I was kind of in
Mm.
my like era of like going out, enjoying myself. obviously I just got this Ibiza holiday, so I was, you know, like having fun. And then anyway, I got back from it and I was like, you know what, like I actually kind of want to take this a little bit further, like what I'm doing. Like I want to challenge myself a little bit further with this. So I then emailed Rob, who's the gym owner, and I knew he was obviously one of the best in the industry for prep coaching bikini girls. So through his socials, I'd like come across Kerry Sexton, and that kind of she was probably my first like person that I'd followed in the industry, and he obviously prepped her, and then I was kind of opened the door up to like all these different bodybuilders and competitors and stuff. So anyway, that's how I got into it, and the rest is history.
What year was that then? When did you start competing? Was it 2019 or
so what year did we go into lockdown? Because I completed a prep and was like 2 weeks out, and then we went into lockdown, so it would have been
March 2020, wasn't it, that we went into lockdown?
I started coaching then about like the October time before then, so 2019.
So similar journey to us, but you just kind of skyrocketed, and your first season did quite well, didn't you? You were with Two Bros. You never tried any other federation.
So that was really just because of the whole lockdown situation. Two Bros was just the people who were putting shows on. Like I said, I did complete a prep, and that was for a PCA first timer show. So that was for a first timer show, and then it just got cancelled, and we went into lockdown and trained in my garden and all that stuff. And then I ended up, my first show was in the Pump House Theatre in Watford, which is actually like really weirdly like where we actually hold our mock show days now when we put them on, which was like a real like full circle moment when I like rocked up to that car park. I was like, oh my God, like all of the memories from like the first show like came back, and I was like, this, I'm like putting on essentially like a seminar for people like for their first show, and it's where I did my first ever show. It was so weird. So I think I did 3 categories, which was backbreaking. But I was like, you know what, I want to, because I was a junior at the time, so I was like, let's do it. Like when you're a junior, I think you should always do that category because you're just up against other people that are a similar age to you. So I did juniors, and then I think I did first timer, and then I did an open class, and actually won every class. And I was like, this is going okay then. It's going all right. As well, like because I'd done that first prep, and I literally got to 2 weeks out, kind of, you know how you're looking, and like I think I'm very like objective when I kind of look at myself, and I was like I actually look good here, like I could be really good, like and I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing that or saying that, like, and I'm quite I think a lot of competitors are quite all or nothing people, and I definitely am quite like an all or nothing person. And when I do something, I like do it. I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, and I'm like really do it well. I think
it's all in. Yeah. And it's interesting as well, because even though you committed yourself, Char, like it sounds like you've just said you were quite objective, and that's something I've always struggled with personally. I can't be objective about my body in the sense of being quite assertive about it. Like, how have you found that mindset sort of take you through? Because bodybuilding, we know, is quite challenging from a sort of self-esteem, self-doubt standpoint. The mind can play in heavily into anybody's prep. So how have you found that sort of position take you through, obviously, to the success that you've had to date? Like,
so I think as well, actually, like part of what comes into play with that, and that's made that actually better for me, is like coaching other people, because I see a lot of my emotions and how I feel in my clients, and I think that really does help me with obviously coaching them, but it also helps me with if I'm having a bad day or I'm having a bad check-in, do you know what I mean? Like there is no bad check-in. Like I remember someone asking me, like I was in prep and recently, and I'm checking in like daily at the gym, like face to face with Rob when we were both back in England. And someone was like, oh, was your check-in good? And I was like, well, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just for check-in. Like there's no like good or bad. Like what do you mean bad? Like how would it be bad?
Why? What do I look like? Like
what are you trying to imply?
What do you mean?
It's interesting. It's interesting how you attach those words to things, though, isn't it? Because I think if you say, oh, it's a bad check-in, you instantly feel bad about it.
Like what makes it a bad check-in? Like what like you're associating like maybe weight gain with a bad check-in,
fat
or
loss, or
like what are
yeah.
you associating with it being bad? That could be totally different to like what I would associate with being bad. Like,
exactly. So
Yeah.
interpret differently. I suppose going back to that kind of first season, like you said, you were quite happy with the look. You did quite well. Like, where did you hope to go from there? Like, how did you see your future within the sport? Like, did you want to turn pro from then? Did you know, right, I have the shape, I have the structure, like you do have that kind of wide clavicles, and we could see that in your first season. I remember I was like, yeah, she's going to do pretty well. Like, did you
swimmers'
there?
shoulders.
I
People
knew
used to
I
ask me,
started swimming. Knew it.
really funny, like people used to say to me like, do you like swim? And I was like, I used to be like, no, like what do you mean? And be like almost a bit self-conscious of like my width of my body, and just things as well, like weird things even before training, but like t-shirts, you know, the seam of a t-shirt, the end of where say like the end of where it would that would be like not fitting me correctly. I feel like these are a bit big.
You can still see how much I need to grow into the sport. Yeah, it's all the way downhill.
That's the measure of how you need to grow into it. Sorry, what was the question?
In terms of
did I
like,
see
did
myself
you know like then that you wanted to go far?
So again, like I've always kind of set quite high standards for myself, and like I said, like I like to do things and do them well, and like excel at things, and I've just always been really competitive as well, like, and I'm open into saying that like I like winning and I compete to win, for sure, like that's a big driver for me, which some people it's not as much of a thing for them at all, and that's fine, but for me it very much is.
Yeah, well, I can definitely sense that from watching your journey over the years. Like you have just been.
I even so after I'd done that first prep that didn't end up in a show, I was like, I'm going to be good at this and I'm going to do everything I can. And I think that was really good in terms of the timing of that, and that I'd made that decision, because that did help me a lot in that whole lockdown situation to like not waver and kind of not like lose myself, as some people really struggled in that period of time, didn't they?
And in terms of like, because I've been watching Journey like the whole way through, and you have got your fair share of kind of second places and just falling short over the years. Like, how did that impact you mentally, if at all? Was it more like a positive that you just wanted to keep getting after it, or did you ever doubt yourself throughout that process?
So much like like although like I know I'm good, and I know like I knew I was good and I knew I could turn pro, like that doesn't mean that you don't doubt yourself, it doesn't mean that you don't have those days. Like there was plenty of times that I was like, if I go back on my messages, like messaging Rob and said, look, should I just go in off season, am I there yet, I'm not there yet, like questioning it, even just talking to friends as well, like maybe not airing it to Rob. But plenty of times where you have those doubts, especially because like it's not a knockback, is it? Well, I suppose it kind of is a knockback, like when you don't get it, like and there could have been times where I'd stopped the season, and I don't know, like I think Rob was like, let's just see through the plan that we've got. And I think, imagine if I didn't, because the show that I got the pro card on, that was the last show that we had planned to do. And I think I did something like 10 shows that season as well, like in like 2 blocks, not all in like one. But yeah, there's definitely doubts, like just because you know that you're capable and you know that you're good, that doesn't mean that you are not self-critical or don't have doubts. It's definitely still and I think that they're good. I've said this to people, said this to clients as well, like I think having doubts as well is a positive thing, because you can use that to like spur yourself forwards and keep working towards it, because I think as soon as if you get too cocky, like, and you think you're like invincible, somebody else is going to be overtaking you, like even just goes down to like training, like if you're like in the gym and you think, oh, that'll do, like that'll do kind of thing, somebody else is there who's fighting for every single rep, and they're then overtaking you.
It keeps that care alive, doesn't it? It keeps that passion alive. It stops you getting complacent, and it keeps you moving forward. But in terms of like the self-doubt and things like that, even with that last season before you turned pro, Char, like were you planning on sort of pulling that prep? Were you planning on pulling that show, ironically, the one that you actually turned pro at?
Not that show, but I did my first show was in Spain, pro qualifier. So I did that, won the class and was in the overall, but I wasn't really like looked at, like when you like, if you're being looked at or not, and I wasn't really looked at. I was kind of just there, just attending.
Enjoying myself.
And got some really positive feedback, which was cool. Got some positive feedback. Then the next show I did, so the feedback was like you need to be a little bit more muscle still, a little bit more muscle. And you can't really do that, like obviously when you're in prep. So how we kind of like approach that is, okay, let's be a bit leaner and you'll look a little bit bigger because you've got a little bit more like showing through.
Yeah.
So I got a bit leaner and actually got quite a bit leaner. And then I was judged by Tyler Mannion in Portugal. And his judging is obviously like very American style rather than European style. And so I got fourth in that lineup, and I was like, I've gone backwards, severely backwards here. And I was like, oh, like that was one of the times where I messaged Rob and said, like, look, I don't think I'm there, like let's just go like back into off season, blah blah blah. One of those meltdowns that you have while you're on the Stairmaster, probably. And he was like,
Sweat and tears are the same thing at that point.
Yeah. He was like, look, you've done 2 shows and you've won one of them, like come on, pull yourself together. Like let's just carry on and like
Push
keep
forward.
going, basically.
You didn't think
so yeah.
Did you think
Then
that Spain was going to be the one? Like I think I read one of your posts back that like that you just didn't really expect it. Did you kind of just go in and be like, right, this is the last shot at it? Or did you think, no, I actually think I'm going to get my pro card? It was Spain, wasn't it? It was
so I did Spain twice that season. And I got it in Spain the second time. And no, I don't think I went into it thinking that I had it. And I felt really good in the lead up to it. But that's not to say that I didn't feel good in the lead up to some of the others. I don't know. It's weird. Like sometimes you just feel, I don't know, I felt quite calm, quite content. And I think maybe I kind of had made peace with, this is the last show, so let's just kind of enjoy it and try not to put too much pressure on myself. And honestly, I can't explain, like I'm even actually getting a bit goosebumpy now, but like when you're like waiting for them to announce the like winner, and Rob was sat like right behind the judges, so he had seen who would won. And I saw him get his phone out, and obviously I know he only gets his phone out like if I'm winning, he's not getting it out for me not winning. And then I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and it felt like the longest time like of my life ever. And then they obviously announced it, and it was just like, so many emotions, like it's just like not describable. Like it was like weird, almost as well. Like sometimes when I'm on stage, I feel like anyway, it's a little bit like almost like out of body experience. Like I don't remember it happening. Even more so was like that.
That's crazy. Such a surreal experience. And like because you've done so many shows before, like you've been in overalls and your name hasn't been called out, it's probably just like, what the hell is actually going on? Like it's not like it was your first overall and you're
big on like manifestation and stuff. And like I had heard them call my name so many times, like just in my, like when I've been like thinking about it and like imagining it, and then like to actually have it happen, it was like so weird. I was like, is this real?
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Is that my number?
I just want to triple check. What
Confirming.
was it? In terms of turning pro as well, Char, like obviously you'd had that focus from pretty much out at the gate, really, in terms of like you knew your capabilities, you knew what you were capable of in terms of actually executing what you needed to do to achieve it. What was it like post turning pro? Because we've had mixed feedback from professional athletes that have sort of been completely overcome by it, or equally they've completely embraced it. Have you had any situation at all where you've gone, can I do this? Am I in the right spot? Have you ever had any sort of self-doubt post pro win going into the pro league? What's that been like?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not sure if you would have spoke with anyone else who had this I actually had my breast augmentation done like 4 weeks after winning my pro card. I knew that I'd wanted it done for years. It wasn't even a thing about like competing, like, oh, I need it done. It had been like a year, like years and years and years, and it was just that was the right time. Because I knew I was going to have a long off season, and I was like, okay, like I can commit to having this time off now. I've got my goal, and now I'm going to get this other goal.
Just
one.
So, so I was still pretty lean, to be honest. Obviously, only being 4 weeks after 4 weeks post show when I had it done. When I kind of really struggled most was actually when I returned to training, because I was like, I don't look like a professional athlete right now.
Yeah.
Because your body looks so different. Like, I just felt like, if I'm looking back, I probably didn't look that bad, but just in my head, the last time I was in the gym, I was like peak condition, and I'd like just won my pro card, like, and then when I come back, I was like, oh, like I just felt like a sack of potatoes almost. And I think that's when I really was a bit like, oh my God, like I don't look like, not how I should look, but I felt like I don't look like how I should look almost. And that was just a me thing. Like that was nobody would have been batting an eyelid like at all. It was just like like a me thing.
The pressure you put on yourself, I suppose, after when you win the pro card, it's like, right, this is what I should do. And we have heard loads of athletes being like, I should look like this, and I should be doing this, I should be posting this on social media. You should look like this when you're X weeks out. And that's really hard, you know, jumping straight from that win, having that pressure to getting surgery. You know,
so I did actually struggle a little bit with like what to post online. I was a bit like, not like how am I staying relevant here, because I'm not training, I'm not doing anything, I'm not like I felt very uninteresting. I was like, there's nothing going on here right now. Having like just obviously when you're in a prep, like you got so much to post, like you obviously can post all the time, really, can't you? Because you can post your training, you can post, see, I was traveling all the time, like there's loads going on, and then I suddenly was a bit like, oh, I'm not really doing anything now.
I'm resting. Oh,
keep you updated today, we're resting again.
On the back of those preps, though, you'd have needed it. Sorry, Grace.
No, go first. Go first.
Definitely, yeah. I think that like the timing of that was perfect, to be honest, because off the back of that, I needed that rest, and I wouldn't have had that amount of rest like otherwise. But it was definitely needed. And as well, what I like trying to spin on it was that it was actually really cool to then go back in and like kind of work from the ground up, like, and in like terms of like training. There's literally no ego here. Like no one is expecting me to be lifting anything right now, so I can literally just start from the basics and like work up from there. And it was actually really cool to like, I don't know if either of you have you had breast augmentation?
I haven't, but Grace has.
So like going back in, you kind of have to like relearn how to like get mind to muscle connection. Like I really didn't have it at all. I was like, this is so weird, like I can't even feel myself sitting on a hamstring curl, when like normally like that was like fire. Like I was like, this is so weird. So I kind of like felt like it was a real benefit to start again really with that.
And I suppose just going back to like your body changing in that scenario, like because you've had your fair share of off seasons as well, where you've obviously have to push body weight up a little bit higher. Did you ever struggle in that process? We talk about off seasons all the time, and especially with first timers going through that really for the first time, you know, gaining a significant amount of weight to build as much muscle as they can. Like, did you ever struggle during
definitely. I am somebody who will say, like hand on heart, like I am very blessed in that I gain my body fat very, very evenly distributed across my body. Like a lot of girls will gain it quite badly to their midsection or like wherever it is, and they're obviously quite self-conscious about that. I am blessed. Don't know what genetics that gave me it, but whoever gave me that,
thank you for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am so lucky that I just kind of do gain all over, which obviously does make it definitely a bit easier. But still, as a female, gaining 10 kilos, 15 kilos, it's never going to be easy, is it? I think a lot of people as well will resonate with, I usually would feel fine in the gym and training and stuff. I feel really great, and it would just be checking, like you're just looking at yourself in a bikini when you know what it looks like, 10 kilos, 12 kilos lighter, looking at it and thinking, this looks not how I want it to look.
Having that reference point, isn't it? As soon as you've got that reference point, it completely changes the image. Like, did you struggle with that turning, like moving into like your professional season and being a pro? Did that exasperate at all? Did your like, because you've said that you've got exceptionally high standards for yourself, and you can tell in terms of like the way that you conduct yourself and have done. But has that amplified in any way, shape, or form since you turned pro, or has that just been a consistent sort of point for you?
Yeah, so I think it definitely has amplified it, because it's
More
like
critical.
a little bit more, like essentially it's my job.
Yeah.
It's my job,
Yeah.
isn't it? When you
Yeah.
think about it
Yeah.
like that. And I try and explain that like kind of to my mum or to like other people, friends, family, like it's my job. Like, or like my stepbrother would be like, oh, can you like eat what you want? And I'm like, I am eating what I want, but this is what I want to eat, and this is in line
Yeah.
with my goal and essentially my job. Like, this is my job.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
say it like that, it's like, okay, like people kind of get it a little bit more, I suppose.
Not even just with like actual competing, but as a coach yourself, you know, walking the walk is so important. Like it's walking at the end of the day, and that's something that I think family members don't always understand. And just like living like a pro and showing people, if you're coaching them, like this is what you kind of need to do as well. How you need to live your life. But let's go back to, I suppose, would it be this year that you started prep for your pro season, or did you start?
So I started dieting before Christmas time,
Okay,
but like we didn't call it prep, just started dieting. Just because I knew that I was kind of aiming for that start of the season. So just rather than kind of keep on pushing, especially with the festive month of Christmas, knowing that like there's more social stuff going on, it was like, let's just start scaling it back a little bit there, and then enjoy Christmas, relax, be able to enjoy it, and then be in a better position for sort of January time starting prep.
Yeah. So you obviously had a good chunk of off season there after your pro win. Like, was there any particular focus with your physique before like starting prep? Anything areas that you were like particularly bringing up?
The glutes, the glutes, the glutes, the glutes. Glutes and just overall leg. So my split throughout my whole of my off season was 3 lower sessions and 1 upper session.
Right.
One basically it was 2 glutes and hamstrings sessions, predominantly glutes, and 1 leg session, which included like a little bit of quad work, just to build up just the size of my legs, just to create more balance, just like we said, like my shoulders and my uppers just quite dominant, and just wanted to bring obviously more of that balance to my physique. So just a lot of lower body work.
Cool. Are you confident?
Recovery must have been awful.
Sorry.
And so the recovery must have been savage from 3. Yeah.
So I would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday would be upper.
Nice.
And how was your confidence, I suppose, going into prep? Because I know I've been following Marnie's journey the last couple of weeks, and she's been dealing with a lot of self-doubt going into her second season. I can just only imagine, like, you have that pro card, you have the pressure, you've done your first kind of off season, obviously a big focus on the glutes. Like, how did you feel going into that? Like, we'll talk about your placing so far, but were you kind of just being like, right, I'm doing it to dip my toes in, see where I stand against other pros, see what the judges said, or were you like, no, I really want to get like top placings here?
What happened this season? Like, did it even happen? Somebody needs to tell me if that's real or what, because it doesn't feel like it was. I'm like, maybe I just had a weird dream. So yeah, in my head, I was like, I'll be absolutely buzzing to get top 10. I need to see where I stand against these girls. I was under no like impression that I would be getting anywhere near what I got. And also, just like you said, stand up next to the girls and see how I fare, see what I look like, because I never stood up against these girls. I never stood against like pro athletes. So what I just always said to myself is, and I say this to some of my clients, is that everybody here in the pro league is elite. You need to remember that everybody is elite. It's not the same as competing as an amateur. Obviously amateurs, like amazing standard of amateurs these days, especially obviously if you're competing like internationally at like big things like amateur Olympias and things like that, big shows like that, like amateur standard is crazy, isn't it? So then just got to remind yourself that in the pro league everybody is elite and everybody is a professional athlete. And that kind of helped give me a little bit of like, I don't know, I suppose kind of like reassurance that like, I don't know, that like
it was okay not to go in for the win. Like, it was okay, because at the end of the day you're coming up against like 20-30 versions of you. You've just turned pro, and there's 30 of you potentially on
Yeah,
stage. So
exactly.
it's
Exactly.
understanding that you've just stepped into the sea rather than a rather large lake.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now we're trying to
Exactly.
swim.
As well, because of like the fact that it took me that amount of shows and stuff to get the card as well. Like it's
Yeah.
really different, I feel,
Mm.
if you go in and you win the pro card straight away. Like
Yeah.
that's really different because you're obviously
Yeah.
like bam, straight away. It doesn't happen that often, to be honest.
No,
It's quite a like quite a thing that you got to obviously work towards. But yeah, that's why one, I took quite a bit of time off because I knew I was not there yet. And also I wanted to have a bit of time off after a few seasons.
Yeah, understandably. It builds that resilience though, doesn't it? Like you said, Char, like at the end of the day, even though it was excruciating and it was watching you get so close but not get it, and get so close but not get it, and it must have been excruciating for you, but that resilience that you've built in terms of applying the feedback, not taking those knocks personally, making sure that you're still moving, you're still pushing, and believing in yourself to the point where you did get exactly what you deserved and exactly what you were just, it was just a matter of time, the right place, the right time, and it was there. And that resilience that you build now, I can only imagine is going to help you walking into shows with the likes of the professional athletes that we see now. And what's it been like being out in Asia as well? Like, is there any difference in terms of like the judging criteria or the types of physiques that you're seeing? Like, what was
Yeah,
it like
so those girls are really stacked, which is cool. Obviously, I'm not saying that American market is not stacked at all, because
Yeah.
it definitely is. They're just dense for sure. Definitely a different look. I feel it's a little bit more conditioned. I think similar to kind of like
Europe.
sort of Europe in terms of that look, but maybe not quite as extreme, I suppose. But yeah, really cool to stand up against those girls. I also felt like with my upper body being still like quite dominant, I knew that kind of like the Asian-y girls are really stacked in their upper as well.
Yeah.
And I felt like that would be a good fit to kind of stand on stage
Position
next to
yourself.
I think
people who are
genetically, like they
similar.
definitely have like, yeah, similar kind of wide clavicles, because looking at the photos that you'd posted, like there isn't, like, you don't stand out for the wrong reasons, like with your upper body. Whereas if
No.
you maybe with a UK, obviously, or US, it might look totally different. But
Yeah.
I think amongst those girls in Asia, like you definitely fitted in really, really well.
Yeah. I think that's something that like people, I don't think maybe people kind of forget to consider when they're choosing their shows, and that goes for amateur as well as
Yeah.
like professional. Yeah, definitely about like the right show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that. Go on, Grace.
No, I was just saying, even with the condition side of things, like you kind of do, like we spoke about it with Jake on the last podcast, like you do kind of need to be a little bit tactful, like with these things. Like if it is like a European show and you kind of struggle with condition a little bit more, like more, then
Yeah. And as well, like different physiques suit different looks.
Yeah.
And also like obviously I'll do whatever's needed to, get to the Olympia, but like personal preference, like I love being conditioned, like I love how that looks, like I love looking a bit freaky.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And do
So
you have
yeah,
do you have any plans to compete? Obviously, I know your season is wrapped up now, but any plans to compete in the US? Isn't that like
yeah, I would definitely love to. Yeah, I would love to compete in the States for sure. So I'm going to be working on having some glutes that are able to be up against those girls, I feel. Yeah.
stand in front
Yes.
of Tyler again?
Yeah,
Have
Tyler.
you stood in front of him since?
No, I've not. So yeah, it'd be cool to be in front of him as a pro. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
With a totally different physique. I need to, like you just I don't know, stuff's really busy like after show. Obviously I'm back in Dubai now. I still need to like kind of like do that little like put comparisons and stuff together, and have a look at actually look at the progress that I've made.
Yeah.
It's cool to look back at that for sure.
Yeah, because you
And
can
then
blink and
I'd
it's
do it
gone.
again.
Yeah. You can blink and it's completely gone, like the preps and
Yeah.
things like that. You're in them that
Yeah.
much, and the focus is that, like, you're hyper fixated on the one goal or the next goal and the next goal. You can forget to just sort of take in, because your first show was 2020, so it's
Yep.
4 years in. That's a lot of time dedicated to completely changing your physique, and my God, has it changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be nice to do.
It's exciting. It's cool, isn't it? How you can literally just change things, and yeah.
But your
That's
lower
it.
body progress, Char, like the
Mm.
last couple of years have really, really come on. Because like you said, like you have
Mm.
been a little more upper body dominant, and it's a hard thing sometimes, like to fight how your body wants to grow.
I
Sometimes.
know,
Yeah.
like genuinely, if only my glutes could be as round as my delts, I'd be a happy girl, die
I
happy. And it's
know.
funny, isn't it? Because like other competitors and like girls will like talk to me and they'll be like, "Oh, I'd love to have delts like you," and I'm almost a bit like, I don't even want them, like, because in my head I'm like, they're ruining my like ruining my balance. Do you know what I mean? It's really funny.
Yeah.
And other people are like, "Oh, I'd kill to have delts like yours," and I'm like, I don't want them. You can have them.
Yeah.
I'll put an order in.
You can have some.
Thanks.
Yeah, you've done a really, really good job at sculpting your physique. Because I know even with my own training,
Mm.
like really busting my ass to build my glutes, and my quads are just growing, and you're like, oh,
Isn't
what's
it so
working?
annoying? Yeah, like I feel like my glutes are so slow to grow, but
Yeah.
you can't control it, can you? It's just about like as well like trial and error and finding what works well for you.
Yeah.
And just as you obviously do it more, you progress like as a trainer and as an athlete, like
Mm.
and just like learning different ways of training. And
Yeah.
like I definitely was guilty of like just trying to be the strongest person ever in the gym.
Yeah.
Obviously it's fun and I
Yeah.
can get quite strong, but then how much am I actually using the targeted muscle that I'm trying to grow? Probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
not that much.
Yeah.
So would you say your training has changed a little bit since early?
Yeah, a lot. It's definitely like sometimes I think it's hard, isn't it? Because you see like top pros who are obviously train really different to like amateur
People
athletes
who are
or people who
growing.
need to be growing a lot more muscle. So I feel like I
Yeah.
definitely have maybe like got a mix of the two, like variations of that. Like obviously I'm still trying to get as strong as I can. However, I'm trying to get as strong as I can whilst using the muscle that I'm trying to grow and whilst
Yeah.
like maintaining a really good connection with it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely like a hybrid, I think, of the two methods there,
Mhm.
to kind of
Yeah.
get what I want out of it.
Yeah, for
Mm.
sure. For sure.
Yeah. And what's it been like as well, Char? Like in terms of your coaching, because obviously you approached Rob and now you're in a partnership, he's your partner. What's it
Yeah.
like being coached by Rob at this level now with that relationship changing? Like, is it difficult? Does it present its own challenges? Like, is he just as objective as he always was with you? What's it
Yeah, I
like?
think a lot of people ask this question, to be fair, like in just
Yeah.
day-to-day conversation, because it really
Yeah.
interests a lot of people. But
Mm.
we're very good at that being like being check-in, and it being
Yeah.
just that. Like I'm very normal in terms of I'm a like normal client. I send a check-in form, like I've got a tracker, do it all
Mm.
normally. Obviously I get face-to-face check-in like towards the back end of a prep, or if I ask for one, but other than
Mhm.
that, it's just very normal. I'm not like special.
No.
Can I talk to him
Yeah.
about this? If anything, he's harder on me than he is like other people.
Yeah.
But obviously there is that side of it that is like we are in a relationship, and
Yeah.
like yeah, it's a work
He wants
together
the
kind of
best,
thing.
yeah. He wants the best for you as well, obviously.
Yeah,
He's gonna
yeah,
want the best for all of his clients, but there will be an edge in terms of, like, you can do this and I believe in you, so
yeah,
get it done, like, we're
yeah.
pushing harder.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big positive is that like he knows my limits very well,
Yeah.
and also that like if I need to, I can tell him if I'm struggling or whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, generally it works really well. I
Mm.
don't really have any issues, and it is very much like yeah, we'll work together kind of thing for it.
Yeah,
I'm always
yeah.
fascinated. I think we had Phoebe Goodwin on before, and I was like, God, how do you do it with my ex as well? Like I find it's all consuming sometimes. So I always
Mm.
wonder like
Oh,
how do you manage just like separating like the coaching side of things and you're competing with just living a normal
Right.
life and being a
yeah.
Yeah.
girl and
One thing
doing
I
it.
really hate at the end of a prep is the fact that I'm doing daily check-ins and
Mm.
I can't help it, but in my head, like obviously you know what it's like at the end of a prep, like you are so hyper focused on that, and it's almost like it's not almost, it is like the first thing that I'm thinking about, the first thing that we're talking about, the first thing that is happening of the day is let's do
Yeah.
my check-in. Let's see
Yeah.
what's happening. And that's really shit that's the start of the day, like for especially if I'm doing run-up shows, like for however long period of time.
Mm,
But flip side is he understands what the goal is. He knows
Mm.
there's no which I imagine there probably can be frictions with a partner who maybe doesn't understand the extent of the goal, or maybe not as supportive, maybe, I don't know, can be difficulties in another way, in that they might be like, oh God, you're still on prep, or you're going to do another show, or we can't go out for dinner again, like, whereas I don't have that ever. There's never any question about like me having to prioritize things that are related to this. Like, there's never like, you've got to go do steps, or we can't watch a film because you need to go and do steps, or blah blah blah, whatever it might be. There's never any issue with that.
There's pros and cons, I guess. I think just the overarching thing is that support wherever that partner is, what they're doing in your life. But when it comes to like decision making and stuff, because obviously you have like such a close relationship, do you ever disagree with the calls maybe that he's made on like peak weeks or anything like that? Or are you like, do you just put everything in his hands?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I would not say that I would ever disagree with things. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, when you get a food drop and you a bit resistant to it, maybe, but I would never think that it's the wrong decision. Yeah.
Even on like peak weeks or anything like that, like any wild decision that you're
No,
like,
to be
oh no, I'm
honest, like, we
not.
don't do anything.
The
We
way
don't do
there's all
anything
these like,
crazy in.
you know, like,
What
you know, if it's just like, for example, like fat loading or something like that, or like too many carbohydrates. Have you ever got in your head about some of the decisions that he's made, maybe, and then you're like, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. No, to be honest, no. So with so I did obviously 3 shows. We did China was the second show that I did. We loaded a little bit heavier on carbs, and it was a really humid show, like in terms of the temperature and stuff. And it was actually in a nightclub, the venue.
Really?
So that, yeah, I got to the show to like have my tan done, and it was done in like it was done in like a corridor. It was a bit stressful, to be honest, the final bits of like going on stage, and that was not my best look at all, but it was not anything to do with like peaking. It was more so like kind of a stressful like final hours before you go on stage. But generally, like, we don't do anything major, to be honest, to like cause me to be worried about anything like in peak week. Like, it's just literally final touches. Like, we're not doing anything really drastic. We're not doing anything that obviously you have a bit more food than what you would have when you're depleting, but nothing crazy that would make me like be like, whoa.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't want to do that, thank you. Also, if I said that, I think you'd just be like, get on with it.
That's brilliant. And in terms of your own coaching now, Char, like, obviously you are the bikini coach, like, you've got your brand and your clients now. Like, how have you found that in terms of like competing yourself and pushing your own goals alongside working with other athletes? I know you've spoken about that sort of actually feeds into the understanding and the position you find your athletes in, but what is it like juggling all of those things, the travel, your goals, because obviously the professional league demands absolutely everything. So what's it like juggling all of that?
Yeah, just takes being quite organized and being quite disciplined with your time. And I'm lucky that something that I've really learned from Rob, obviously he's mentored me my whole time of coaching, is how to be very disciplined with yourself in the side of work, because this line of work, obviously you can set your own rules really, and set your own boundaries, and again set your own standards, and I think just coming from everything that I've learned about coaching, coming from Rob, he has a very high standard of coaching and reply times, response times, and the standard that is expected, and I think just having that from the get-go and applying that to has helped me as an athlete as well as a coach. But that being applied to that,
I'm always fascinated because I know myself when I competed, my cognition was not great towards the latter end, and I did feel guilty for sometimes the quality of service, you know, because my brain just wasn't working most of the time. Like, I was in another world. I just couldn't imagine like doing such long seasons or competing as frequently because of that. Like, do you ever feel like that I don't know, prep is kind of impacting your business, or do you kind of maintain that?
So I do cap my numbers, and it's not just a sales tactic. I do
Yeah.
count my numbers. And I'm also very lucky that I have obviously a team of girls who really do help me out a lot when I need that. And they do support a lot in terms of the other coaches that work for the team. And obviously I've got Rob as well, who will help me with things if I need help with it. But I'm also really lucky in terms of my clients are all really understanding. I don't feel as though my quality of service dips at all, because I'm really honed in on when I am productive and when I work well, and that is the morning. So everything that I need to be done is done first thing in the morning, upon wake. So I do all my client work before I go and do any cardio, anything like that. It all
That was
done
probably
before.
where I was going wrong. I was doing cardio first and then I was doing like 9-minute stair mass and then wonder why I was like a zombie for the rest of the day.
Yeah. So no,
You actually do feel like a zombie. You're like, how am I going to speak here? I actually get
how
coaching
does
is
this work?
a lot. And sometimes because I did a 9 to 5 for my first prep, and I honestly didn't find it as hard. Like I did find having my own business and coaching to be really difficult, because you have to put so much energy and like you're motivated for other people,
definitely.
because you just don't have that in yourself.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think it's about finding when you are most, like when you work best. And for me, I know that's the morning. So it's got to be done morning. And that's year round, to be honest, like not just prep. Like I suppose you could say like phases, regardless of the phase. Like I know that I'm most productive of a morning time. I'm most switched on. I'm most sort of clear in terms of thinking at that time. So yeah, it all gets done in the morning. And then like anything that requires less brain power can be an afternoon task. Obviously, I'm not saying I don't do anything all afternoon, but less things that, if you're doing a video reply to someone, like you say, like you want them to feel like you care about their progress and you want them to feel like you're giving them the time that they deserve, and that their goal is just as important as your goal, which it very much is. So yeah, I definitely don't feel like my standard like dwindles. It's a bit, again, it's being strict with yourself. This is the time I wake, this is the time I do this is the time I do that, and I am like that, which to some people they can't do or they don't want to do, but I am militant in that. This is the time I check in, this is the time I'm replying to your check-ins. And then just kind of like divvying my day up like that. Like the secondary replies, they happen either during cardio, because for me obviously I'm a little bit ahead of the UK time, so it works quite nicely for me, because then by the time I'm going to my cardio or I've got back from my cardio, then people start responding to their check-ins, so their check-in response. So works really nicely with regards to that. But yeah,
being over in Dubai, I think with that, like very different, especially as a coach. Like
that definitely had a real positive impact on my prep as well. Like the lifestyle here and the being out here for sure impacted me really positively, I felt.
Oh, amazing.
And come here, you have a good few athletes on your team. So is that the goal with Bikini Coach, is to kind of continue prepping people, get people pro cards? Do you have a lot of girls on your team with that goal?
So carry on with the pro cards.
I know.
If I can get that feeling again, it's really cool. It's weird,
No.
like when some of the other coaches are prepping people for the first time and they're like, oh my God, why do I feel more nervous than like my own prep? And I'm like, yes. But then when they win, it feels even better than when you win almost. It's really cool.
That's
It's
amazing.
cool. To be able to help people. Again, obviously we know competing is not forever. Like it's cool to be able to hopefully build something that I can do to still keep my hand in the like industry for
So what's
really exciting.
What's the next goal then?
No, tell us.
For me?
Yes.
Going into off season, obviously, but what does the rest of the year and 2025 look like?
So my long-term goal is go to the Olympia. I would love to go to the Olympia, compete on that stage, and then I feel like it's just you go to the Olympia and then you got to work your way up the placings, isn't it? So it's first one, go to the Olympia. Second one, go to the Olympia and get top 15. Third time, go and get top 10. Work your way up that.
Well, look at what you've done in this season so far. Like things have been incredible. Was it your first show you came second? Like that is mental for your first pro show.
Literally out,
like that's giving you the confidence.
That is possible. Like I said, like I was kind of going in thinking, like we'll just aim for like a top 10, do you know what I mean? See what I look like next to these other girls and kind of go from there and like then go back into off season. And and it just was so much more than I ever like was imagining and ever could have imagined. And yeah, just so happy with it, to be honest. But also I was speaking to Babs. I don't know if you guys know Babs, figure pro, who's one of my really good friends. And I was saying like, I don't know how to get this to come across in the correct way, so I hope it does, but almost like if I had got to the Olympia this year, like it would have been a bit too easy, like not too easy, but like I said, it's hard to get this to come across in the right like way. But again, with the pro card, like I, hand on heart, would not change anything about how I won that. Now, maybe at the time, if you'd asked me, I would have been like, wish I got it first one.
Yeah.
But like I
First
said, I
time would have
learned
been
so much
nicer.
from it. And again, like just applying it to myself as an athlete and as a coach. I like the whole process of it. And before I'd even actually completed this prep, I was like, I can't wait to like just do it again, like go back into the season, grow, improve, come back, look totally different. And yeah, I feel like kind of if I had achieved that massive goal
straight away,
it would have been too soon for me. Not too easy, like I said, not too easy, because it was nothing's easy about it, but it would have been a little bit underwhelming
It's like
almost.
Phoebe Megan's quote, I love. I think it's like earned, not given. And it just makes you appreciate, like I said, the journey so much more when you do get there.
And I think you're right, Char, as well. Like when it comes to it being too easy, like I don't think that phrase is necessarily wrong, because if you just get it not given to you, but if it's thrown at you
too soon,
like straight away, before you've had an appreciation for what the magnitude, like you said, of the actual goal that you're trying to achieve, like everything that feeds into you actually understanding that magnitude and therefore applying yourself in a fashion that like warrants that win almost. Not to say that you're not doing it already, but like to really enjoy the journey of it, do you know? Like I think that's so important, because I think it's quite easy to want that instant feedback in this sport now. It's so exposed, it's so available, it's so accessible. It's quite easy to want it straight away and to be disappointed when you don't get it straight away and miss the lessons and miss the growth that comes with not getting it on a plate.
That's exactly a much better way of what I was trying to say.
No, but I agree
Thank
with
God
you.
you're here.
Like, it's
I
bang
hope that
on,
comes across in the right way, like, because that is exactly like what I meant. Like if I could have explained that in that way, it would have been much nicer.
It's bang on. And I think your mindset, because of that, I think your application to the sport as well, like I'm really glad that you've said it and it's out there, because people need to take a leaf from your book in that respect, in terms of mindset and positioning yourself in this sport to be patient and to take the losses, take the hits and take the wins and take it all, because it's part and parcel of your journey. Like you said, you wouldn't change a thing.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you say, it's easy to do a show, do really well, and then be like, okay, now I'm going to turn pro, and it's a bit like, come on, like you've got to almost pay your dues a bit, like
exactly.
I'm definitely seeing a lot lately on social media. I just hate saying it, people are getting really cocky, and it's just like not what it's about. It's not like, yes, you might be competitive and you want to win, but it's not all about that. Like earn your stripes.
Definitely.
What Ronnie said, like, and what we speak about with Jake, like muscle takes time to build. Like stop abusing that. For granted, like it's not that simple. It's not an overnight thing.
It's not an
just
overnight
building
thing.
muscle in general, like earn your stripes with it.
And you learn a lot about like the whole process in that part of it, in the building of the muscle, like that builds the grit.
The patience and just delayed gratification as well, and so many people are just trying to rush it these days. So
don't rush.
Pay your dues, guys. Pay your dues.
Literally.
As well, like I got to go to so many cool different countries. Off
Oh,
the back of not winning my pro card, I got to go to
Yeah.
Finland. I got to go like all these cool places. And if I'd just won it in the first show that I'd done, I would have just been a bit like, oh, right.
Next. And that's where the complacency could potentially have like seeped in. If you'd have just got it that I'm saying easy, we know it's not easy to
it's
achieve
really hard
it.
to like phrase it correctly, isn't it?
Because it's not an easy thing to achieve, but people are, if you have a predisposition to it, if you have the structure, if you have the genetics, if you have the training background, then your first exposure to the sport with all of that background in play might be really, really successful out of the gate. But I think people forget that is done for the most part behind the scenes. Like, people don't see the groundwork, and I think coming into the sport, they don't acknowledge the groundwork then, because they think it's achievable because they haven't seen the bottom, they haven't seen the roots,
the layers of it,
somebody's journey. So it's nice to actually put it into focus and have the likes of you on the podcast, because we watched your amateur season, we watched you get this close over and over and over and over again, and you just didn't quit. And that's the type of image I think that people need to be absorbing. They need to be seeing those types of journeys to understand what this actually takes.
I think that was the most fun as well. Like, well, like, after winning the card, I was always like, that was almost better than the actual win. I don't want to say it was, but like almost like it's on par, very on par. Like there's a quote, the chase is better than the catch, or something like that, or the climb is better than the summit. That's a better phrase, isn't it? The climb is better than the summit. And I think that's very, very, very relevant. And that, again, I can apply that now to the pro ranks as well. So
exactly.
And even just inspiring your clients along the way. But
yeah.
An amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice to have a little chat, and cool to come on.
Amazing. Where can we find you, Char? Like, in terms of like the listeners and things like that, do a little plug. Where can we find you in terms of coaching?
So on Instagram, it is Char_the bikini coach. So you can find me there. And get in touch if you want any coaching or posing and whatnot.
Amazing. Well, good luck with the rest of your season. You're doing an off season now, right?
Yes, into off season we go. Operation Glutes.
I don't wait
to see glutes.
If the progress is anything like last off season, it's going to be mega.
I'm going to be eyeballing the Instagram feed.
But yeah, you're doing amazing and representing the UK amazingly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
See you.